Tonight, government incurs wrath of Ghana Medical Association after Information Minister accused some top members of the association of double standards in the medical drones saga.
The Ghana Medical Association welcomed the decision by government.
Please, respectfully, I kept my cool. Please, and let me put on record, even though I'm the General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association and also a medical doctor, I have never, emphasis, attended any of the health summits. If they are saying, it was a reaction I made at the health summit, that can also not be true.
We tell you how the latest controversy may affect attempts by government to open dialogue on implementation of the controversial $12.5 million medical drones policy.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
And Top Story is always brought to you by Bond Savings and Loans. Your success, our passion. Gasem, the nation builder. Vodafone, the future is exciting, ready. And nationwide medical health insurance, your healthcare family. Government attempts to open channels of dialogue with the Ghana Medical Association over the implementation of the controversial medical drones policy made tonight may have hit a snag. The policy may see the deployment of drones to deliver blood and other essential medicines to health centers across the country. The latest twist follows claims by Deputy Information Minister Pius Hajide at a news conference earlier today that the GMA is being inconsistent in opposing the policy. The GMA yesterday issued a statement demanding the immediate suspension of the medical drones policy, which had just been approved by Parliament. But at a news conference today, the Deputy Minister claimed that the association's top executives had made pronouncements in the past endorsing the deal. He singled out the General Secretary of the GMA, Justice Yangsing.
At the 2018 Annual Health Summit in Accra, the Vice President Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia announced to the Ghana Medical Association government's intention to roll out the project as part of efforts to ensure effective healthcare delivery. The Ghana Medical Association welcomed the decision by government, and to quote the General Secretary of the GMA, Dr. Justice Yangsing's reaction to the announcement, and I quote, "Well, as for us as an association, on countless occasions, we have bemoaned the state of emergency medical service in the country. So, if efforts are being made by the government to ensure that we strengthen that sector, we strengthen that aspect of our healthcare delivery, then we say kudos. Government is therefore taken aback at the current position of the GMA when it says, and I quote, the proposed services to be provided by the drones do not conform to the primary healthcare policy in Ghana."
I've just been joined in the studio by Justice Yangsing. He is the General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association. Mr. Yangsing, thank you very much. In fact, Dr. Yangsing, thank you very much for your time here on Top Story.
Thank you, Evans.
So, from the quotation that we heard from the minister, he ends by saying that you had said kudos to the plan, the intention to roll out the drones, medical drones policy. If somebody says kudos to anything, that's, in his view, an endorsement of the thing. And so they are taken aback by the sudden, I guess, U-turn, kicking against and asking for immediate suspension. What's your reaction to this?
Well, I'm surprised at the position of the minister. Let's set the record straight. If you go to My Joy Online now, you have reported vividly what the minister said at his Meet the Press series today. And I will crave your indulgence if you could read just the first 2 paragraphs for listeners to understand what we are going to discuss in that context.
So that says, government says it is shocked at the posture of the GMA towards implementation of the drone delivery system in the country. According to Deputy Minister Pius Ajide, the association's General Secretary, Dr. Justice Yangson, was consulted during the early stages of the discussions for the implementation of the drone health delivery service. Okay, it goes on. Addressing journalists at a bi-weekly meeting with the press in Accra yesterday, he said Dr. Yangson gave government and the Ghana Health Service the GMA's blessings for the rollout of the drone system. Well, for us, and this is a quote. Yes, okay.
So, Evans, if you look at what you've just read, I take it that this is coming from My Joy Online, i.e. Multimedia, and I trust your credibility. Ever since I've been here, you guys have insisted that this was what was actually said there. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, look at what it says here. That, one, they had discussions with me. I welcomed it. And I also gave my blessings to the rollout of the drone system. I have at no point in my life had any discussions with government, right from the presidency to the last person in government, about any drone systems. The minister himself, just some almost maybe 30 minutes to an hour ago, on a sister radio station of yours, Asempa, confirmed that he has never even met me and that no government official has ever had any discussions with me about this drone system. So I was very surprised to hear and read that these were the comments coming from him. I have asked him to do the honorable thing and correct him, or I take him on further beyond this point, that opportunity I have to correct him. Truth be told, nobody in government ever consulted the Ghana Medical Association. Nobody consulted Dr. Justice Yangson in my own personal capacity and Dr. Justice Yangson in my official capacity as the General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association. At no point have I ever blessed any drone system through consultations or discussions or anything. In fact, the GMA officially has never even been invited to any discussions about this drone up to the point of approval by or ratification or whatever it is, the endorsement of the agreement by Parliament yesterday. Yeah. So if the Honorable Minister had a press conference to spew out this palpable falsehood that I, Justice Yangson, had a session with them and gave my blessings to them, then this is something that ought not to stand at all.
And I must point out that if you this particular story and the part that references the consultation directly,
yes,
wasn't something that the minister said in terms of the use of the word consultation.
But what word did he use, and what word have you put out there?
True. What he said is what we played. That the fact that you are at a summit that was held was...
I'm going to talk about that summit.
And he quoted what you had said. That you, well, for us as an association, on countless occasions, we have bemoaned the state of emergency medical service in the country. So if efforts are being made by the government to ensure we strengthen that aspect of our healthcare delivery, then we say kudos. That's what he quoted. And I must point out that earlier attribution to him, that my journal had corrected that. So the use of the word consultation wasn't something that he used. He was referencing a quotation that he had made in the past to suggest that the GMA had made a U-turn because there's kudos to it. We like it in the past, and he made that quotation at this summit.
Okay, Evans, let me ask you a simple question. Am I to understand that you are saying that what you read, the first 2 paragraphs...
The use of the word consultation.
Yes.
Yes.
Together with the content is not right. Is that what you are saying?
The content...
At least the first 2-3 paragraphs.
The contents as it relates to the consultation, because he didn't use
and then the blessings and what have you.
The use of the word blessings, he didn't use that as well.
But then you have occasioned me a great harm, and I think multimedia will have to do the right thing. Now let's go to the next bit.
Which is the quotation. And I must point out my colleagues at my journal had in fact corrected this one.
Look,
on
you
my
know what?
Well.
You know what? This has been circulated the world over. Right from here, I'm going to give you my phone. You will see messages that I have received from our colleagues outside of this country who have all read this story and are asking me what is going on. members of the Ghana Medical Association, as we speak, keep calling, keep sending messages to my good self and to other executives, trying to find out the cause of this so-called double standard. So if, as of now, the minister and government themselves have confirmed that I, in my personal official capacity, has never had any discussions with them, never given them any blessings, and multimedia wants to take up the responsibility for that report as has been put out there, I think you need to do the honorable thing. Now let's go
which
to
has
that
been done, by the way.
No, you haven't even communicated anything.
No,
to
but
me.
I'm just.
How can you say it's been done?
I'm pointing out to you that the changes have been made.
It's not about changes. It's not about changes at all.
Yeah.
You need to apologize properly. You need to circulate whatever you have corrected. Put up a proper agenda for the records and prosperity to see and judge same. Please,
absolutely.
I demand that from you. If you want to, in quote, put the minister in a different position and take up the blame, no problem. I'm ready to take you on such that you correct everything. Now let's go to the other bits.
So we're moving on to talk about the quotations attributed to you by the minister today.
Yes. So read the quotation. Let's go.
I mean, we played it. I mean, you've heard it before.
All right. Now, see, from what you are saying, the minister says this happened at the Health Summit. I want to put on record that Dr. Justice Yankson, in my personal capacity as a medical doctor and also the General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association, has never gone for any health summit, let alone make certain attributions at a health summit. That, I think, should go on record. I was not at the health summit, and I never made any attributions at any health summit as the minister wanted to put out there. So that falsehood will also have to be corrected. Now the quote itself.
Let's take this step by step. When the minister says, and just for the avoidance of doubt, that there was a summit.
Yes.
Okay.
Where I made that statement.
What statement were made? Just for the avoidance of doubt. This is what the minister said.
At the 2018 Annual Health Summit in Accra, the Vice President Alhaji Dr. Mamudu Bawumia announced to the Ghana Medical Association government's intention to roll out the project as part of efforts to ensure effective healthcare delivery. The Ghana Medical Association welcomed the decision by government, and to quote the General Secretary of the GMA, Dr. Justice Yankson's reaction to the announcement, and I quote, "Well, as for us as an association, on countless occasions, we have bemoaned the state of emergency medical service in the country. So, if efforts are being made by the government to ensure that we strengthen that sector, we strengthen that aspect of our healthcare delivery, then we say kudos. Government is therefore taken aback at the current position of the GMA when it says, and I quote, the proposed services to be provided by the drones do not conform to the primary healthcare policy in Ghana."
So that's Pius Enam Hajide there. 2 points from that statement you just had there. One, that the GMA endorsed the drones policy when the intention was first announced at the summit. Is that true?
Look, Evans, I just said to you that I have never been to any health summits. To even tell you the truth, the GMA has had cause to actually write formally to the Ministry of Health protesting our continuous omission from the list of invited entities and persons to the annual health summit. Okay. The medical doctors or the GMA and its constituents are supposed to be at the forefront of our healthcare delivery system. Over the years, we have never been invited to the health summit, and I have never attended one. So if somebody says that the policy was introduced to us then, and I made that statement, that cannot be true. Okay, I was not at the health summit, and please, I was from my engagement with the deputy minister. He says this happened somewhere in April. Now, as far back as April 2018, this issue of the drones had not come to the fore as we have now, maybe it may have been mentioned at the said forum. I wasn't there. The GMA, to the best of my knowledge, was not there. But of course, if for some reason somebody may have gone there without the knowledge of the General Secretary, that is a different thing.
Okay.
Now, at the time, if you quite remember, it was just about that period when, unfortunately, we had lost a 70-year-old man.
This is April this year.
Somewhere that period, April, May, thereabout, when the issue of emergency medical services came to the fore. So virtually all radio station, media houses were talking about it. This old man was said to have gone to about 7 health facilities. There was no bed, and finally he lost his life. So as part of that conversation, the GMA, like it was stated in there, had actually come out saying that, look, over the years, we have bemoaned the state of our emergency medical services, and we think that we should deal with it. What was happening, so-called no bed syndrome and all that, was just a tip of the iceberg. The issue of no ambulances came in. I'm sure your good self, you had a program where you spoke about 55 ambulances in the country and all that. So in the midst of all that, one of the radio stations called me. I don't remember whether it's even Joy FM. And then as part of the conversation, the person said, oh, government wants to improve that emergency medical services that you've been talking about. They want to bring in ambulances, mention 1 ambulance for constituency, mention training, health personnel, emergency physicians, and what have you. Then I said that, well, if as an association, over the years, we have bemoaned the poor state of our medical service, especially when it comes to emergency services, and government or any other person wants to improve same, then it is welcome. Please, you cannot be that mischievous to pick up something that was in a different context as far back as May.
Were you speaking to the drones?
No.
You were speaking to what? The general emergency management situation in the country. So when you said kudos, you're saying that
you can read it. You can read it.
Yes.
It was emergency medical services I was talking about, not drones.
So this was a response to the emergency medical management system in the country.
Yes.
Not the intention to introduce the drone system.
No, you can read the quote and decipher yourself.
I've read it one before and played it.
You read it and decipher yourself. Let the people of Ghana also hear whether I was talking about drones. Please.
Okay.
I think you owe me that. Kindly read that respectfully. It's important people hear what is happening.
No problem. We play that, but just to grant you that. So what the minister quotes, and this is a direct quotation from the minister. Well, and this is attributed to you.
Yeah, this is what I'm supposed to have said.
You agree you said this?
Look.
Or you don't recall exactly?
In the midst of that period, I granted several interviews, but I remember saying something to the
But is this a fair representation of what you may have said?
If what is there is read in the context of emergency services, where I was saying that.
So the context?
Yes, where I was saying, and this was April. At that point, please remember, the drone issue had not even come to the fore.
Let me read it. Well, for us as an association, on countless occasions, we have bemoaned the state of emergency medical
services. Emergency medical services.
Yes. So if efforts are being made by the government to ensure we strengthen that aspect of our healthcare delivery, then we say kudos. He quoted the GMA General Secretary, which is you. So, and this is clear, really, that if efforts are made by the government to ensure we strengthen that aspect, and that aspect had been already laid out in terms of the state of the emergency medical service.
That's it.
So that's what you're referring to.
Yes. And now, this was as far back as April.
Okay.
This discourse about drones was not on, on the fore at the time.
Okay.
If you remember.
Let's clarify something else. He mentions the GMA as an association, and then he uses your quotation to support his point. The question I'm asking is, did the GMA as an association back the drones policy aside yourself as an individual?
Look, the GMA's position is what was given out yesterday.
Okay.
You can take it
and yesterday, the Ghana Medical Association hasn't publicly made its position known on the matter.
Yes.
Okay.
Look, we had not even been consulted. We were also in the dark like all other persons. So what we sought to do was to see if we could use some means to get a copy of that agreement that had been sent to Parliament, so that as an institution, we could also look at the details ourselves and come out with whatever conclusions we deem should be made.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we never got a copy.
What will be the procedure or process in the internally when the GMA as an association wants to publicly endorse or reject a policy?
What happens is this. Let's use this for example, because this is something that has documentation to back same. We will usually want to get that source material.
Okay.
Because that is what contains the accuracies or inaccuracies, if there are any. So once we get that, depending on the subject matter, we can put up a committee, because within the medical profession, there are various subspecialties. So there are people who have expertise in specialized areas within. So assuming it is about topic A, then those who have expertise in topic A, we put a team together to look at it. Beyond that, because we are also all trained as doctors and we have some baseline knowledge about the general issues, we'll also look at it. Depending on what the matter is, the Council of the Medical Association will also sit formally, or the Executive Committee will also sit formally, look at all this before we come out with the formal position of the association, just like we did yesterday.
Okay. So you would issue a statement once the process is done internally?
Yes, okay. But unfortunately, we had never been able to get all this source material for this drone project.
Thankfully, the Deputy Minister is on the line with us. Hello, Mr. Hajide. Thank you for your time here on Top Story.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Evans.
Let's start with, you said at a press conference that the Ghana Medical Association endorsed this policy at this summit. How did you come to that conclusion that the GMA had endorsed it? What formed the basis of that conclusion?
Well, thank you very much. Good evening to you, Evans, and good evening to our cherished listeners. First of all, let me state emphatically that in my engagement today, I sought to clarify the position and made specific reference to comments that were made by the Secretary General of the Ghana Medical Association. And there is a wealth of records which attest to this. These comments are not a figment of my imagination. They were made. And if you check on, for instance, the website of the 25th of April 2018 at 4:06, 6 minutes after 4 p.m., the website of City FM Online, there's a story there, and if I can just read to you the headline: GMA backs use of drones to improve healthcare delivery. This is a matter that has been in the public space and has been in the public domain. And one of the comments that have formed the basis for that kind of characterization is the comment that I also made reference to today. And so...
but Pius,
yes.
The context, and we have Justice Yangsing in the studio with me, and so he can clarify if need be. He had stated quite categorically, and we've read his quote several times and played your sound. The quote as read by yourself. And he's clear from what we read that his reference to the kudos he gave at the end, which you read, was within the context of the emergency medical service in the country, not to the drones policy,
including such efforts by the government, such as the importation of 275 ambulances for constituencies, including the introduction of technology into our healthcare delivery, and including the deployment of drones for emergency medical supplies. Those were the comments to which the Secretary General of the Ghana Medical Association was responding to. And I thought that he was speaking for the association because those were the words that I read and heard. He said, well, for us as an association. So I thought that the position of the Ghana Medical Association at the time was that they saw the steps that government was taking as in line with our primary health policy. And they had called for this. They had bemoaned the earlier situation and they had called for this. Now, government was taking steps, and all they could say that kudos to government. Then a few months down the line, we have been told that these same things that we were saying kudos to in April, we are now saying that are not in line with the primary health care policy. And so I expressed surprise.
Okay. Hold the line for me, Pius. Mr. Youngson.
Yes. Honorable Deputy Minister, if you go back to your own text as you read out and you look at the quotes, with all due respect to you, go back and see whether I was talking about drones. I made categorical statements, as you have read, that it was emergency medical services that I was talking about. And I said that if efforts are made by government to improve same, then that is fine. So if you turn it around and piece it at this time, then I think it's mischievous on your part. Because you even mentioned ambulances and what have you. So clearly you are talking about a system.
But he says that system that you endorse included the deployment of drones.
No, listen. When did this issue of the drones actually come to the fore? And you see, in his statement, he also said that was introduced to us at the Health Summit. And I have told you loud and clear that I wasn't there. Okay. The GMA wasn't there. So he shifted the post that it is now City FM, then it shows you the double standards.
Okay.
No, Evans, you get it. First, in the insect that you played,
he said
what he said.
This was said at a summit.
Yes. And now he goes back to say City FM. Look, you know what? Not just the heading. He should read the entire content. Because in his statement today, he never mentioned ambulances and what have you. He's saying same.
The drones.
Yes. Here. Today, he's mentioned 275 ambulances and all that.
Yeah.
At the time, the question to me was that, look, government says that they are going to do various things to improve the emergency medical services. And I said that, yes. If, as an association, we've bemoaned this over a long period, and government says that they are going to put in certain measures, that is welcome. That is fine.
Okay, so let me ask you.
So how can that translate 8 months down the line into drones?
Let me just ask you just before we go to him. When you make that comment, do you know that the overall emergency system that you were endorsing included a drones system?
Please.
I'm just asking whether you knew.
Please, listen. Like I said to you, the reporter, this was in April, when this drone business hadn't even come into the picture, talks about efforts that government...
So drones wasn't part of the conversation.
It wasn't part of the conversation.
So when you were responding to this...
what I'm saying that even if we spoke about the use of ICT and all that, these are standard things that happen the world over. Use of ICT to improve medical services. So I was looking at the collective, and you can see from the statement, my words are very clear. My references are very clear.
The fundamental question, did the collective include...
No, I didn't even mention drones.
Okay. Pius, he makes a fundamental point that your comments today reference a summit at which the vice president had presented this to the GMA, and the GMA had endorsed it. It says the GMA never...
My president wasn't even there.
But he said the GMA too.
No,
okay, he said no GMA representation was at this summit that you referenced.
I think that the good doctor should take his time and understand the argument that is being made. And
so take your time and understand the argument that is being made. You have impugned on my integrity. You put me in a bad light, and I think you should do the honorable thing by eating humble pie and apologizing for the wrongs that you've done to me today, rather than trying to come out as if I don't understand. If you understand, go back and read that content. You've been to the university, read the content very well, and give it to anybody who can read and write. And let them interpret that when I make reference to emergency medical services, it means that I'm endorsing drones and giving you my blessings as it's been quoted.
Let's listen. Yeah, Pius, forgive me.
Mr. Evans-Mensah.
Yes. Pius, go on.
Allow me to make my point.
Please make the point.
To the doctor, and I want to place on record that the doctor has been using some unkind words. We can have
some unkind words.
Please, we can have
Pius, Mr. Young, Doctor, just a second. Let him make his substantive point. Yes, please go on.
Well, I did not act in mischief, and I was reporting the facts. And again, I'll come to that. But I'm saying that these matters have been reported as far back as in April.
No, let's stay to the facts. Let's stay to the facts as you made it today. You said this was said at a summit. He says the GMA never was at the summit.
Evans, you allowed him some time. If you can also let me make my point so people can understand the narrative. I'm saying that what I said today was said some 7-8 months ago in April. And I've given you references. For instance, it is on citynews.com. It is there that the GMA has endorsed the drone deal. So and I can give you a host of other news items, unless we have been told that everybody but the doctor got it wrong at the time. Now, I never said anywhere that the good medical doctor responded on the floor of the summit. I never said that. I said that he was responding to the comments that the vice president made at the summit.
You said in the
things. And again, I am saying that comment was made by the vice president not just at the summit, but was repeated again in Koforidua when the Ghana Medical Association was there. And so...
But Pius, you are adding to what you said earlier. What you said earlier was clear. Just mentioned a summit at which this was presented to them, and the GMA endorsed it. Now you're saying there was another conference at Koforidua. I mean, we need to stick to the facts so we understand it, because this goes to the integrity of the GMA.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's stick to the summit. And I am saying that comments were made at the summit by His Excellency the Vice President. And the GMA responded to those comments. And they said that for us as an association, on countless occasions, they had bemoaned the state of emergency medical service in Ghana. So if governments were making efforts to, as it were, improve on that delivery, all they could say was kudos. I'm saying to you that this comment was in reaction to the comments that were said on the 21st or 22nd or 23rd. I have forgotten the date, but in April 2018. These were the comments that doctor was responding to. And I'm saying that I was confronted with a situation today where the Ghana Medical Association a few months ago thought that the steps that were being taken, including the use of drones to deploy medical emergency supplies, were in the best interest of health delivery in this country, and that they were going to, all they could say to government at the time was kudos. I am at a loss as to how a couple of months down the line, after this matter has been in the public space, has been discussed upon.
They dispute that. I think there's a clear dispute.
The deal has been approved
on that, and I don't think that we can resolve this.
How come today the same GMA who said kudos to us a few months ago is now saying that what we are doing or what has been done does not find representation in the primary health care policy? That's my dilemma.
So yes, I get the point, and I think there's a fundamental disagreement with you on this, and both sides have a position on this, but we need to make progress on the substantive matters. But I want to hear you first.
I'm surprised at the minister's posture. See, look at his narrative. You start from the summit, now you say City FM. Look, if City FM...
No.
In an interview...
I'm just giving you an example.
Please.
I stopped him so that he can speak. Let him speak so we can make progress.
Your statement did not come with all these examples, and the right-thinking people out there have read and made their own interpretations, and people are at my neck thinking that I have done something wrong. But we are trying to set the record straight. If you are saying that I granted an interview to City FM, which in any case was not part of your press conference today, when the journalists were there, you never said this for probably City FM to even have the opportunity to rebut or otherwise. But now you are adding same. But even that, what I'm saying is that if somebody asks me a question bordering on emergency medical services and general efforts to improve it, as you all actually said, ambulances, what have you, and I make a comment that, look, any attempt at ensuring that we have good emergency medical services is welcomed. How does that translate into endorsing a drone deal, which as far back as April was not on the table?
What do you mean was not on the table? The drone was spoken about at the conference in April. And
I'm telling that even that said conference, I wasn't there. Whatever the City FM reporter asked me had to do with emergency medical services and not drone services. So get that distinction clear. And in any case, you never made those statements at your press conference today. Your press conference, all you said to say was that the GMA had blessed you, the GMA had been consulted, the GMA's general secretary had made these comments, which clearly are falsehoods.
Okay, now, gentlemen, I'm grateful for trying to resolve this because I know it's important when people's reputations on the line. But there is a substantive matter of the drones that must deliver blood and medical supplies that we'll need to get into substantively. And there's a statement from the Vice President's office that we'll be going into that deals with those substantive issues. Stay with us. In the next few minutes, we'll deal with that. This has been Top Story. News Night starts right now as we begin to interrogate the substantive matters. Plus, also coming up here on News Night.
Well, police in the northern region launch investigations into social media accounts reportedly seeking to cause confusion 24 hours to the funeral rite of the late Dagbon overlords as they intercept false audio clips promoting division.
There are investigations ongoing on some audio voices that we have intercepted and which contain